You have big dreams, massive goals. You can see exactly where you want to be in 5 years. Successful, accomplished, living the life you've always imagined. You've read the books, watched the videos, maybe even created vision boards or written detailed plans. But here's the problem. You're not doing the work. You spend hours researching productivity systems but never implement them. You fantasize about your future self but struggle to get out of bed. You call yourself ambitious, but your actions say otherwise. And the worst part? You feel guilty about it every single day. If this sounds familiar, you're caught in what I call the ambitious lazy trap, a psychological pattern that's far more common and far more destructive than most people realize. This isn't about willpower or discipline. It's about understanding why your brain creates this paradox and how to escape it. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to dissect this trap completely. We'll explore why it happens, why it feels so paralyzing, and most importantly, how to break free from it permanently. Let's start by defining what we're actually dealing with here. The ambitious lazy trap is when you have genuine desires for achievement and success, but you consistently fail to take the actions necessary to get there. It's not that you lack goals, you probably have too many of them. It's not that you don't care, you care deeply, which is why it hurts so much. The trap manifests in specific patterns. You might spend 3 hours watching YouTube videos about starting a business, but never register your LLC. You might buy expensive gym equipment that collects dust in your garage. You might have 17 half-finished projects scattered across your digital life, each one abandoned when the initial excitement wore off. Here's what makes this particularly insidious. You genuinely believe you're ambitious. You identify with high achievers. You consume content about success, surround yourself with motivational quotes, and genuinely feel inspired when you hear success stories. But inspiration without action is just entertainment. The research on this is fascinating. Psychologists have identified what they call the intention-behavior gap, the space between what we intend to do and what we actually do. Studies show that only about 50% of people who form intentions actually follow through with corresponding behaviors. For ambitious goals that require sustained effort, that number drops even further. But why does this gap exist? The first reason is what neuroscientists call reward prediction error. Your brain releases dopamine not when you achieve something, but when you anticipate achieving it. When you imagine your future success, you get a neurochemical reward right now. Planning feels productive because it literally activates the same reward circuits as doing. This creates a dangerous pattern. You can get the emotional satisfaction of being ambitious without the discomfort of actual work. Your brain learns that thinking about goals feels good, while working toward them feels hard. Over time, you become addicted to the fantasy of success rather than the pursuit of it. The second reason is identity protection. When you're ambitious but haven't started yet, you maintain unlimited potential. You can tell yourself you could be successful if you really tried. But once you start trying, you risk discovering your limitations. You risk failure. You risk finding out that maybe you're not as capable as you believed. Psychologists call this self-handicapping, creating obstacles to success so you have an excuse if you fail. By staying lazy, you never have to confront the terrifying possibility that your best effort might not be enough. The third reason is what I call complexity paralysis. Ambitious people tend to have sophisticated understanding of what success requires. You know, it's not just about working hard. You need the right strategy, the right skills, the right timing, the right network. This knowledge, which should be helpful, becomes paralyzing. You convince yourself you need to learn more before you start. You need a better plan. You need to wait for the right opportunity. Meanwhile, less knowledgeable but more action-oriented people are actually building the things you're still planning. Before we go further, if this is resonating with you, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. I create content specifically designed to cut through the noise and give you actionable frameworks for actual growth, not just motivation, but transformation. The next section is going to reveal the deepest layer of this trap, and you won't want to miss it. Now that we understand what the trap is, let's dig into why it exists in the first place. Because this isn't just about being lazy, it's about fundamental psychological mechanisms that hijack your behavior. Our brains evolved in environments where most goals were immediate and physical. Hunt the animal, get food, climb the tree, get fruit. The feedback was instant and tangible. Modern ambitious goals are completely different. Writing a book might take a year with no reward until it's published. Building a business might require 2 years of negative cash flow before profitability. Getting in shape requires months of discipline before you see dramatic changes. Your brain's reward system wasn't designed for this. It's optimized for immediate feedback, not delayed gratification. When you work on ambitious goals, you're swimming against millions of years of evolutionary programming. This is why you can spend 8 hours scrolling social media but struggle to spend 30 minutes on your business plan. Social media provides constant, immediate micro rewards. Your business plan provides nothing but anxiety and uncertainty in the short term. Cause 2, the fantasy addiction. There's a reason vision boards and visualization exercises are so popular. They feel amazing. When you imagine your ideal future, your brain activates the same neural pathways as if you were experiencing it. Research by psychologist Gabriele Oettingen showed that people who spent time fantasizing about positive outcomes were actually less likely to achieve them. Why? Because the fantasy satisfied the desire, reducing motivation to do the actual work. This is the ambitious, lazy person's drug of choice. You can get high on potential without ever risking failure. You can feel successful without ever being vulnerable. The fantasy becomes a substitute for reality. Cause 3, perfectionism masquerading as excellence. Here's a hard truth. Many people who call themselves ambitious are actually perfectionists, using ambition as cover. Real ambition accepts imperfection as part of the process. It understands that first drafts are terrible, that early attempts fail, that growth is messy. Perfectionism, on the other hand, demands excellence from the start. Perfectionists avoid starting because they can't tolerate the gap between their vision and their current ability. They procrastinate not out of laziness, but out of fear that their work won't meet their standards. So they wait for more skills, more preparation, more certainty, until the perfect moment that never comes. Cause 4. Identity over action. Social media has created a culture where you can build an entire identity around ambition without actually doing anything. You can be a writer without writing, an entrepreneur without a business, a fitness enthusiast without exercising. You curate an aspirational identity through the content you share, the people you follow, the things you say. This identity feels real because other people validate it. Friends see your posts about entrepreneurship and think you're building something, but you're not building, you're performing. Psychologists call this social reality substitution. The social recognition you receive for your aspirational identity reduces the motivation to actually become that person. You're already getting the social rewards, so why do the hard work? Cause 5. Lack of systems thinking. Ambitious people tend to be goal-focused. You think about the destination. I want to make $100,000. I want to write a best-selling book. I want to get in the best shape of my life. But goals are outcomes, not processes. Lazy, ambitious people focus on outcomes while neglecting the systems that produce them. You want the result without building the daily habits that generate results. James Clear popularized this concept. Winners and losers have the same goals. What differentiates them is their systems. If you're ambitious but lazy, you probably have great goals but terrible systems. Understanding the causes is crucial, but here's where it gets really dark. The trap doesn't just exist, it tightens over time. Stage 1. The honeymoon. Initially, your ambition feels energizing. You discover a new goal or project, and excitement floods your system. You make plans, buy resources, tell friends about your vision. This stage feels productive, and in a limited sense, it is. You're gathering momentum. But here's the problem. You're confusing planning with progress. You're spending your motivational energy on preparation instead of action. Stage 2. The resistance. Eventually, you need to move from planning to doing. This is where resistance appears. That heavy, uncomfortable feeling that makes you want to do anything except the important work. Resistance is psychological self-defense. Your ego is protecting itself from the possibility of failure. So you suddenly need to organize your desk, respond to emails, research one more thing, anything to avoid the vulnerability of creating something imperfect. Most ambitious, lazy people never move past this stage. They live in perpetual preparation, always getting ready to start but never actually starting. Stage 3. The guilt spiral. As time passes without progress, guilt accumulates. You know you should be working. You feel ashamed that you're not following through. But here's the trap. Guilt feels like punishment, and punishment reduces motivation. Instead of spurring you to action, guilt makes you feel worse about yourself, which makes starting feel even harder. You begin avoiding anything that reminds you of your unmet goals. The project you were excited about now triggers anxiety. Stage 4. The identity crisis. After enough cycles of excitement, resistance, guilt, you start questioning your identity. Maybe I'm not really ambitious. Maybe I'm just a lazy person who lies to themselves. This is the deepest layer of the trap. You begin to believe that your worth is tied to your productivity. And since you're not producing, you must be worthless. This belief becomes self-fulfilling. If you're worthless, why bother trying? Stage 5. The escape attempts. In desperation, you try to shock yourself into action. You make dramatic declarations. Starting Monday, everything changes. You buy expensive courses or hire coaches. You create elaborate accountability systems. But these are external solutions to internal problems. They might work temporarily, but they don't address the root causes. So, after a brief spike in productivity, you crash back into the same patterns. Each failed attempt reinforces your belief that you're fundamentally broken. If you're recognizing yourself in these stages, here's what I want you to understand. You're not broken. This is a pattern, and patterns can be changed. But you need the right framework. Drop a comment below sharing which stage you're currently in. Be honest with yourself. And if you're finding value in this breakdown, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Chances are, you know someone caught in this exact trap. Now for the part you've been waiting for. How do you actually escape? Step 1. Separate fantasy from vision. First, you need to distinguish between productive visualization and escapist fantasy. Productive vision connects to specific actions. Escapist fantasy is just mental entertainment. Here's the test. After you imagine your ideal future, ask yourself, what's the smallest action I can take right now toward this? If you can't identify an immediate next step, you're fantasizing, not planning. Practice what psychologist Gabriele Oettingen calls mental contrasting. Visualize your desired outcome, then immediately visualize the obstacles between you and that outcome. This creates productive tension that motivates action rather than satisfaction that reduces it. Step 2. Replace goals with systems. Stop asking, what do I want to achieve? And start asking, who do I want to become? Then design daily systems that embody that identity. Want to be a writer? A writer writes. So your system is, write for 30 minutes every morning before checking email. That's it. Not write a best-selling novel. That's an outcome you can't control. But you can control whether you write for 30 minutes today. Systems thinking removes the pressure of outcomes and focuses on process. You stop measuring success by results and start measuring it by consistency. Did you show up? Then you succeeded. Step 3. Start embarrassingly small. Your ambition is probably your enemy right now. It's setting standards so high that starting feels overwhelming. So you need to deliberately lower the bar until starting becomes trivially easy. Want to exercise? Don't commit to an hour at the gym. Commit to putting on gym clothes. That's it. Once you're in gym clothes, you might as well work out. But even if you don't, you succeeded at your commitment. Want to write a book? Don't commit to writing a chapter. Commit to writing one bad sentence. Just one. Perfectionism can't attack a single sentence because the expectation is already that it's bad. This seems absurd, but it works because it removes the psychological barrier to starting. Once you start, momentum carries you further than the minimum. But the key is that the minimum must be so small that resistance can't justify stopping you. Step 4. Divorce effort from identity. You need to stop tying your self-worth to your productivity. You are not your output. Your value as a human being is not determined by what you accomplish. This is counterintuitive advice for ambitious people, but it's essential. When your identity depends on success, every action becomes high stakes. Every failure threatens your sense of self. This creates so much anxiety that avoidance becomes your primary coping mechanism. Practice self-compassion. When you fail to follow through, respond with kindness, not criticism. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff shows that self-compassion increases motivation more effectively than self-criticism. When you're kind to yourself, you're more willing to try again. Step 5. Build accountability without shame. Accountability is powerful, but most people implement it wrong. They create systems that shame them for failure rather than systems that support their success. Effective accountability is about structure, not judgment. It's about creating environmental constraints that make the desired behavior easier and the undesired behavior harder. Want to write more? Schedule a recurring coffee shop visit where all you do is write. The environment becomes the accountability. Want to exercise? Find a workout partner who depends on you showing up. Their presence is the accountability. Avoid accountability systems that trigger shame. Public declarations of big goals usually backfire because the social recognition satisfies your achievement drive without requiring actual achievement. Step 6. Practice strategic ignorance. Stop consuming motivational content. I know that sounds counterintuitive since you're watching this video, but hear me out. Motivation is not your problem. You're already motivated, that's why you feel guilty about not doing the work. Your problem is that you've learned to satisfy your achievement, to drive through consumption rather than creation. Every hour you spend watching videos about success is an hour not spent building success. Every book about productivity you read is another excuse to delay starting. Strategic ignorance means deliberately limiting input so you can increase output. Stop researching, stop planning, stop consuming, just start doing, even imperfectly. Step 7. Embrace the messy middle. The reason most ambitious, lazy people never finish anything is they quit as soon as it stops feeling exciting. The initial enthusiasm carries them through the first 10%, but then reality sets in. The work becomes hard, boring, tedious, so they abandon it for a new project with fresh excitement. You need to understand that the messy middle is where real growth happens. It's supposed to feel hard. It's supposed to be boring sometimes. That's not a sign you're on the wrong path. It's a sign you're doing something that matters. Successful people aren't more talented or more disciplined. They're just more willing to tolerate the messy middle. They show up when it's not fun. They keep working when they feel like quitting. Here's what I want you to remember. Being ambitious but lazy isn't a character flaw. It's a psychological trap that anyone can fall into. It's the result of misaligned reward systems, identity, confusion, and perfectionism masquerading as excellence. But traps can be escaped. The path out isn't through more motivation or better goals. It's through better systems, smaller starts, and the willingness to be imperfect. It's through divorcing your self-worth from your productivity and learning to show up even when you don't feel like it. You don't need to be more ambitious. You need to be more consistent. You don't need bigger dreams. You need smaller, actionable steps. You don't need to feel motivated. You need to act regardless of how you feel. The version of yourself you imagine successful, accomplished, living your ideal life is possible, but that person doesn't exist in your fantasies. They exist on the other side of consistent, imperfect action. So here's my challenge. When this video ends, don't watch another one. Don't make a big plan or declaration. Just take one small action towards something that matters to you. Just one. That's how you escape the trap, not through grand gestures, but through the humble courage of beginning. If this video helped you see the trap clearly, make sure you're subscribed because I'm building a library of frameworks specifically designed for people who are done with surface level advice and ready for real transformation. Hit that like button if you got value and check out my video on related topic next. It's the perfect follow-up to what we covered today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.